This is a special event. It is the Heisman Trophy of defense. It is the award that gives back to a side of the ball that doesn't get as much glory. Thank you, Charlotte.
What a high level of excellence Bronco Nagurski brought to the game. He's an inspiration to anyone who loves the game of football.
My football story is not about playing for the Carolina Panthers. My football story is from the time I was 5 years old, all I ever wanted to do was play for Wayne Hills High School in northern New Jersey.
I was a part of something, and the purpose of what we were working for was greater than any one of us.
Come out every day to compete, and the only way we can get better is we, compete against each other hard.
It's important to note that sometimes the signs that we ask for are right there in front of us. Win or lose, there was always a message in there. It's about what we do with the adversity we face.
You can have a dream, but you better be prepared for that opportunity.
I want to thank you all once again for the millions of dollars that you have contributed. The money that you provide enables multiple sports to benefit.
It's a lot of hard work. I mean, it's nothing is given. I mean, you have to earn everything.
Honored to be here today. You do such wonderful work. The funds you raise for scholarships around the area, that's wonderful.
A very heartfelt thank you to members of the Touchdown Club for your support of 16,000 plus students who you all are impacting annually. Studies show that GPAs and graduation rates are higher, absences and dropout rates are lower.
What I've learned in my life is you can accomplish anything in this world. If you want to do something bad enough, you'll find a way.
But it's important that everybody in this room and beyond understands that it starts with us. You see these kids on the come up, you gotta let them know.
Football was a gladiator sport. Only gladiators play football.
Tonight, you're going to get a glimpse of excellence of our finalists and what they have brought to this game. Their dedication, passion, and brute strength, along with their ability to make key plays during crucial moments in big games.
Always compete. In everything you do, whether it's in your job, competing is a part of life.
The guys you meet now, the guys you've been to war with, keep them close to you, because guess what? That's going to be your life support system for the rest of your life.
I'm always tell myself, honor the ones that paved the way before me, and then leave a legacy for the ones that came after me. And for me to have this opportunity to win this award, it'd be a part of my legacy. And I feel like it's what's a part of your legacy that makes you a legend, and I want to be legendary.
If you're doing your job, you'll be okay. But I do say that with, enjoy the journey, enjoy the process, because it is the maker of who you are.
I had a high school coach who used to always tell me, Peyton, you got to learn to be amphibious. You got to learn to throw left-handed. I think he meant ambidextrous. I never asked him, but it was too late to become amphibious at that point.
I'm telling you, education was never talked about in my family. I never would have gone to college if it hadn't been for my high school coach. And that's the reason that I got into coaching.
Football is a game about sacrifice. That's why I think everybody's drawn to the sport.
And then I just ultimately said to myself, control what you can control. And that's going back and being the best teammate I can be, doing my schoolwork, and just being the best student I can be.
And I think football is a great unifier. I think football can bring people together.
And I thank you again for your contributions to this great cause. And just think about what we can do if we keep working together.
Growing up around the game, I have a deep and abiding respect for those who have paved the way. Bronco Nagurski was a true pioneer of our game.
Good afternoon, good afternoon. Hope everyone's enjoying another beautiful Charlotte afternoon. It's always gorgeous in Charlotte. It's one of the reasons I moved here. I've been here now for 23 years. I want to welcome everyone to another awesome Charlotte Touchdown Club. My name is Steven Israel. I'm a former NFL player, played 10 years in the league, and love having fun coming to these and hanging out with John Rocco. And before I get started, let's hear it for John Rocco for doing this. I would like to thank all the sponsors and members and guests for today's luncheon, and also our sponsor, Martin Marietta. Huge thanks for the luncheon's key sponsor, presenting sponsor, Pinnacle Financial Partners, and also a sincere appreciation for the media partner, Radio 1 Charlotte News Talk, 1110 WBT WFNZ. Now I would like to bring up the Vice President for the Charlotte Touchdown Club, Mr. Roddy Broadnax. Roddy.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. I'm coming in cold off the bench. Our President Josh had a last-minute change, so glad to see you all today, and especially thank you to Martin Marietta. Over 20 years of sponsorship and support. You guys have been fantastic with our club, and excited to have you again sponsoring today. Boomer Esiason, the Maryland great, a Cincinnati Bengal, and Boomer, I married a Cincinnati girl. I got married in Cincinnati. What a big move for a Gamecock to go up there and do that. But also, I got to see you play, and it's amazing how much they did love you up there. It was a great stadium and a great field, so welcome. We're so glad to have you today and be our guest speaker. Also, as many of you know, December 8th, our Bronco Nagurski Awards, presented by Coca-Cola. This is the College Football Defensive Player of the Year, as voted on by the Sports Writers of America. Always a great event. So this year we're going to have the Boz, Brian Bosworth from the University of Oklahoma. And as a Gamecock, we got them coming to Columbia in 3 weeks. He should be very entertaining. What a great career he had. Also, our Master of Ceremonies, Adam Zucker. And Adam's been with us for the last few years. What a great job he does at CBS Sports. Also, our Legends Award with Coach Ron Rivera, from his playing days in 1983 at the University of California, Berkeley, and that's sponsored by the Hertwig family, so thank you again for all your sponsorships that you do for us every year. And then last but not least, the Defender of the Nation Award is going to be announced on the 23rd, and that's with the military colleges throughout the United States, so that'll be a great award. Now, we do have one award we're still looking for a sponsor. It's the Luke Kuechly High School Football Defensive Player of the Year. And we'd love to have you put your name on it. Please contact John Rocco if you have an interest there. And also, would like to ask you, go out to our website, read a little bit more about our mission statement. We've given out over $4 million to area high schools and colleges to support athletic and learning programs. So we've been excited to have you, this room full of our sponsors, because without you, we couldn't do it. So again, thank you for being here today. Boomer, look forward to your message today. Enjoy your lunch.
Now it's time for the invocation. Please help me welcome up Brother John Hannett from St. John's. Brother John.
Good afternoon. Thank you so much for allowing me to be here and to offer this prayer. Almighty, ever-living God, open us to the new possibilities of love each day. Transform our attitudes so that our loving will be more inclusive, compassionate, and faithful. As we gather here today, I ask your blessing on the Charlotte Touchdown Club members, administration, and families. Bless those who promote and sponsor this event. Bless our Carolina Panthers, their organization, and their families. Give us deeper insights on how we can serve you and one another more generously each day. Stretch out your healing hand on all our sisters and brothers who continue to struggle to rebuild their lives, their homes, and their communities. Bless all the hands which brought this food to our table. Bless those who serve us. As you have blessed us so abundantly, bless too those who cry out for bread and justice throughout the world. May we respond to the new possibilities you offer us for love and compassion and faithfulness today, and so give you praise with our lives. We ask all this from you, O God. Amen. Amen. Thank you.
Thank you, Father John. Well, you know, Touchdown Club family, we like to have a little bit of fun. So before I let you enjoy that delicious lunch, I want you to do just one thing for me. I want you to think about amongst your tables, at your tables, the coolest, or let's go with not just the coolest, but the top 3 football names of all time. Because I'm telling you right now what's at the top. In my opinion, is Boomer. Matter of fact, you guys are gonna help me out. On 3, we're gonna say Boomer. 1, 2, 3, Boomer! Hey, so look, enjoy your lunch. When you come back, we're gonna have a lot of fun. Take care. All right, I hope you guys enjoyed that delicious lunch. We're gonna get ready to get started. Hope you discuss also some cool NFL names. I still have Boomer at the top. We're gonna jump into our raffle, but first I want you to recognize and patronize the Touchdown Club sponsor and team members highlighted on the screens. Up here, you'll see them throughout the luncheon. Really thank our sponsors for all their support for making this luncheon what it is. Every month we have so much fun, and then obviously with the Bronco Nagurski closing out the year in December. All right, now I would like to announce some special guests we have with us today. Would like to thank all our special guests for coming out today. We got high school and middle school coaches, athletic directors, and administrators that we have here today. Also, we have some NFL alumni. We have Mike Delaney, Matthew Gibson, who is the NFL Players Association president for Charlotte chapter. We also had the vice president for the Charlotte chapter, NFL Players Association, David Olson is here today. Also, we have former tight end Walter Rasby. And we got a special NFL former player here today. Boomer, we got one of your old tight ends who caught that 4th-and-1 touchdown from you, Craig Thompson. Craig, wave your hand, Craig. Craig caught a 4th-and-1 touchdown from Boomer. All right, now I would like everyone to stand for me real quick. Please stand. Everyone, please stand. Last, obviously, but not least, we would like to and please give a warm welcome to all our current and former U.S. military heroes, also our first responders from police and fire departments in attendance here today for the Charlotte and surrounding region. Let's hear it for them. Thanks, guys. You guys who sent, thank you, really appreciate it. Can't thank them enough for what they do. Also, just a reminder regarding the auction items that the bid that you bid on back on 12/20, the deadline will be open for bidding for 10 minutes following the conclusion of the luncheon. So you got 10 minutes after the conclusion of the luncheon to get your items. Please check out those items on your way out. We got some really cool stuff. One of my buddies got the Mookie Betts picture. It's really, really awesome picture he got for his son. So we got some great things out there. I wanted to make sure you get that. Also, the Brookstone schools that we support, it's an awesome cause, guys. The Touchdown Club and Coca-Cola Consolidated are proud to partner with Brookstone schools, whose mission is to glorify God by equipping under-resourced students spiritually, socially, and academically for future lives of leadership and service. Each year, their partnership helps to close the opportunity gap for students just like Santiago, who you will meet in the video coming up. You'll also meet Mr. Bill Elmore, the retired president of Coca-Cola Consolidated, whose personal involvement as Santiago's mentor during his time at Brookstone underscores the profound impact of a one-on-one mentor, and we all know about that. I have several mentors. One of them's here today. Santiago's story resonates with the aspirations of many bright young boys and girls who have the potential for great things. It is through the corporate sponsorship and personal commitment that we can help them realize their full potential. Together, we can make high-quality education accessible and catalyze meaningful change in our community. For more information on how to get involved, don't miss the opportunity to visit Brookstone School's table. It's in the hallway. So before you guys leave, please just spend at least a minute or two at Brookstone School's table in the hallway. Now, I want you to take a look at the screen and enjoy the video.
My name is Santiago Castañeda. I went to Brookstone my second grade year all the way to my 8th grade year. And those years were the most encouraging years of my life. Whenever I look back at the years in Brookstone, I was really encouraged to grow. You know, my teachers, my friends all around me, people all around me, you know, my middle school teachers especially. Those years were really growth encouraging for me.
Santiago impressed me from the very beginning. He was very outgoing. He was a joyful child at that age and very inquisitive, very interested in what I was doing, and just a great conversationalist. We just hit it off and it was really easy.
Cuando llegamos aquí, mi preocupación fue la escuela, la educación. Y fue difícil ajustarse. No sabía inglés, pues no sabía inglés. Y fue difícil. Entonces una hermana de la iglesia nos dijo de Brookstone, cuando él tenía unos 7 años. Y cuando llegué a Brookstone, llegamos, nos recibieron con los brazos abiertos. Y los profesores siempre fueron ese apoyo, ese oído amigo, esa red para mis hijos y para nosotros como padres.
Santiago's accomplishments, one, he skipped a grade. He was a straight A student here. He's done phenomenally well at Cannon, which is a private school. And on the football team, he's been starting for 2 years. He had the highest GPA of anybody on the football team, and I think it was literally like a 397 on a 4 scale. So he's a very, very intelligent child. Santiago to me is almost like a nephew. He's just a joy to be around. He's always up. He's a great brother. He loves his mother dearly. He's just a success in every sense of the word, and I am really proud of him. It's one of the most fulfilling things in my life. This place, I don't want to overplay it, but we're saving people's lives here. And it's not just the child, it's the whole family. And you're getting this great spiritual foundation, this great educational foundation. You're learning things for how to operate, in society in general, that you just don't get all that, unfortunately, too often in a traditional public school these days. You touch a child's life in a little bit, you help them move along, you have a few laughs with them, and you just leave here feeling like your purpose in life just bumped up a notch.
Please help me recognize again with your clapping. Awesome guy, really helped me recognize him. The chairman of Brookstone Schools and former president of Coca-Cola Consolidated. Let's hear it from Mr. Bill Elmore again. Bill Elmore. Mentorship makes a huge difference. It really does. You saw the video, it makes a huge difference. Now we want to talk about our guest speaker for a little bit. Boom, I just want to say, man, I watched you in college. Thanks for your awesome career in college. And everybody that's in here that's, 35 and older, maybe or should I say 40 and older. We watched your career, awesome career, man. You really brought Cincinnati alive, obviously. can't say enough about your NFL career. And we're going to see a video as soon as I step off the stage. But one of the things also I want to share is your professionalism and what you bring to the table as your sports analyst job. Awesome job. Let's hear it for his CBS work.
Boomer Esiason is one of the most successful quarterbacks in Maryland and ACC history. He led the Terrapins to the 1983 ACC Championship and back-to-back bowl game appearances under head coach Bobby Ross. Honored as a second-team All-America by the Sporting News in 1983, he set 17 school records during his career.
Quarterback Boomer Esiason, greatest leader I've ever known. Boomer Esiason right here. Get him out of pocket, flush him out of pocket, flush him to his right. Left-handed quarterback, he has to square himself up, drops the arm slot down a little bit, hits Stanford Jennings for a touchdown against the Raiders, big play. He always destroyed the Houston Oilers, then Houston Oilers. Look at the ball placement here to Dunn. Puts it right over the safety, outside of the corner. Dunn's happy about that one. Great ball placement by Boomer Esiason. Boomer, dropping back, always looking down the field. Look at him. He's not looking to check anything down. He wants to go for the throw. Out of pocket again. ML Harris, take it deep, ML. Take it deep. Forget the short stuff. Over the top he goes, over the safety, touchdown. Boomer Esiason, his yards per attempt were extraordinary because he was always trying to hit the big play and then work his way back toward the line of scrimmage if the big play wasn't available. Here again, throw back across the football field to Darnay Scott to his right, wide open, everybody bid on the run play. Darnay Scott, touchdown bomb. Boomer Esiason was the maestro. He had defenses on a string. The thing is, very, I think, not underrated, but maybe underappreciated in terms of his skills at the quarterback position. The dude could throw the football.
What's up, everybody? Time to do the top 5 Bengals in franchise history. And at number 5, we're going to start with a guy who won the MVP 20 years after the Bengals came into existence, Boomer Esiason, only the second Bengal to ever do so.
Play action fake, Boomer back to throw, looks in the end zone, lobs it off in a flat, touchdown! Brooke, baby!
From 1985 to 1990, the lefty was one of the better quarterbacks in the AFC, before a general decay of the entire team ultimately led to Esiason succeeding elsewhere. He did return during the 1997 season, going 4-1 as a starter with 13 touchdowns and only 2 picks. Heck of a way to end his career.
The top 10 left-handed quarterbacks of all time. Number 3, you know this guy, Solly.
My former teammate, MVP of the 1988 season, one Julius Boomer Esiason. Boomer can ball.
Well, keep it going. Welcome, Boomer. Come on up, Boom.
Yes, so good morning or good afternoon. It's great to be here in Charlotte. So I woke up this morning with a cold, if you can't tell. So that was, I think it was basically the airplane yesterday. There was a guy sitting next to me sneezing the whole way down here. So I do want to appreciate everybody that did recognize me appropriately. There were a couple of people that mentioned Phil Simms or something when I was walking through the hallway. Really know how to welcome a fella, I can tell you that. Nothing worse than that. So it's interesting because I know you've had a lot of great speakers. I've seen the list, and I know you had Joe Montana here. I'm sure he was really exciting. The only reason I say that is because I love Joe. I was in the 1989 Super Bowl facing the 49ers. It was back when I did win the MVP of the year award, and I'll never forget this. We had just taken a 4-point lead or a 3-point lead. I think it was a 4-point lead. And Sam Weiss said to me, I think we left too much time on the clock. And I was supposed to be the guy that was going to Disney World as the winner of the Super Bowl. And as I was walking to the sideline with 3 minutes and 30 seconds left to go, I was tapped on the shoulder, and it was the company that was shooting the commercial. And they were asking me if I knew my lines. And I was like, yeah, I know my lines. I'm going to Disney World. I'm going to Disney World. And these people are all dressed in black. You know, they have no idea this is the biggest moment of my life. I mean, I grew up in East Islip. When I got to Maryland, I was the 11th string quarterback. Nobody ever would have expected that a guy like me would have led a team to the Super Bowl. So this is like the moment of my life, the crowning achievement. And we're 3 minutes and 30 seconds away. And every time I'm practicing my line going, I'm going to Disney World, I'm going to Disney World. Jerry Rice is making some catch.
Roger Craig is leaping over our defense that played great that day. And Joe Montana ends up hitting John, I can't remember his name, but anyway, hits one of his wide receivers in the back of the end zone, who ran the wrong route, by the way, and they win the game. And before I could get the words out of my mouth, I guess I'm not going to Disney World, those people were running across the field looking for that damn Joe Montana. So I've held that against them all these years. And I've said this right in front of his face. Because, I think about my era, it was really his era. He won all those Super Bowls. It was like how Tom Brady, it became his era. And now we're living in the Patrick Mahomes era. Maybe Jalen Hurts or somebody like that will change that narrative. But, this is one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. So I kid him all the time. And when we do appearances together, I always get 20% of the gate. He gets 80% of the gate. So it still happens. That's what happens when you win the Super Bowl. But, it's interesting. I did play for the Jets, the Cardinals, and the Bengals, otherwise known as the Bermuda Triangle of the NFL. Really is. Honestly, when you really think about it. Somebody's got to lose, right? That's just the way it is. I played 14 years in the NFL. 7 of those years were on great teams, and 7 of those years were not on so great teams. And those 7 years, I had 7 different head coaches in a 7-year sequence, which makes it really hard to be somewhat successful. And my last year in New York, it was 1995, and I had a coach, his name was Richie Kotite. He had been a part of the league for a long, long time. And he was an assistant coach when the Jets used to go to the playoffs consistently, but then they hired him back as the head coach my final year as a Jet. And we were playing against the expansion Jacksonville Jaguars. And I'll never forget, it was our second game, because the first game, we lost 50-10. And we lost that to the Miami Dolphins in Dan Marino. And it was about 100 degrees down there in Miami, and nobody knew what they were doing. We looked like the Stratomatic football team. When you turned it on, it would be like, electric, and everybody would be vibrating all over the place. That was the 95 Jets. So we have our home opener week 2 against Jacksonville, and the first series we're in there, and he would call the plays. This was like the second year of the coach to quarterback communication system. And he would call the play by pressing the button. You have to hold the button down so I could hear every word. But for some reason, he would lift his finger off the button, and I would get every third word, like right, left, 93, 4, and there's 80,000 people screaming. I'm like, I can't understand a damn word this guy is saying. So we go on and we score. 10-play drive. I'm calling all the plays. I'm not even paying attention to the sideline. We're up 7-0. And I come running over to the sideline thinking I'm pretty cool. And he starts screaming at me. You're not calling the plays I'm calling. You're not calling the plays I'm calling. And he's really yelling at me. Now I know as a quarterback and somebody who's been in media for a long time, there's always a camera on the coach and on the quarterback because they want to catch any kind of interaction that they may be having, positive or negative, right? So he's screaming at me at the top of his lungs. And we just scored a touchdown. And we got ripped 55-10 the week before. And I said to him, Richie, I just want you to know, and this is how my face is, that the cameras are on us right now. And when you call a play, you got to hold down the damn button because I don't understand what you're saying. This is in the middle of an NFL football game. This is how it goes. And Steve can actually, I think he would second this. This is how it all becomes FUBAR. Effed up beyond all recognition. You guys in the military know that. So I'm standing there going, Richie, look, I'm just going to tell you right now, we just scored. This is an expansion team. We got to beat them. And if you don't stop yelling at me, I'm going to tell these 85,000 people after the game that you have no idea what you're doing on the sideline. He left me alone up to that point until we played later on in Buffalo. And he put a defensive guard or defensive tackle at offensive tackle on the left side of the offensive line against a guy by the name of Bruce Smith. And I swear to God, it was a hit that was put out on me. And I got knocked out, and luckily for me, I was the first guy ever put in concussion protocol in the NFL. So I have something else on my resume as well. But interestingly enough, all the quarterback stuff, all the football stuff is great. And it really, truly was quite a ride for 14 years in the NFL. But my life changed significantly in 1991, and I was still the Bengal quarterback. My wife and I, Cheryl, gave birth to our first son, Gunnar. And Gunnar was, he was a little bit small. We thought he'd be a little bit bigger. He wasn't thriving. We knew there was something wrong, but we really weren't sure what it was. And he was born in April of 91, and then the 91 season comes, and he's really struggling. And I remember I used to have to drive him around the Beltway in Cincinnati. So the only way he would fall asleep was listening to Vivaldi while he was sitting in his car seat in the back seat. And I'd be driving around for hours and hours and hours so he could get some sleep. And from 91 to 93, we just couldn't figure out what was going on with Gunnar. We had a cystic fibrosis test done when he was 6 months old. And the interesting thing about that is that in 1989, after I had won that MVP award, I was at a dinner much like this, and a guy by the name of Frank DeFord was speaking at that dinner. And he spoke before I got my award. And his speech was about how he lost his daughter to a disease called cystic fibrosis, and I had never heard of it. And in '89, we didn't have any kids. I had just come off at the Super Bowl. I'd won the MVP. I was there to accept the award. And he spoke for a good 30 minutes, and he basically impacted everybody in the room because his daughter Alex died at the age of 8. He wrote a book, they did a movie on it, and this was the first I ever heard of cystic fibrosis. After that dinner was over, I went up to him and I said, how can I help you raise money? That story was incredible. He said, well, you could go back and do some fundraising, do some golf tournaments, black tie dinners, celebrity waiters luncheons, things like that. So from 89 to 91, I did all that stuff in Cincinnati and got involved with the Cincinnati Children's Hospital, as most players do in their community, by the way. 99.9% of the NFL players are involved in some way, shape, or form. You see Steve Israel up here doing this. I mean, that's what we do. That's who we are. We always want to get involved in our community in some way, shape, or form, especially to help young people. And we want to give them a hand up because we got the hand up when we were kids, and we wanted to pay it forward, or we always want to pay it forward. So Gunnar was born in 91, like I said. We couldn't figure out what was wrong with him. 91 and 92, if you go back and you look at my seasons there, they were terrible. And in 92, I actually asked the Bengals if they would trade me. I went to them and said, look, you got to trade me. I got to get out of here. You fired the coach. It's not working. Instead of having Don Shula as my coach, I got Dave Shula as my head coach. So that was a learning experience. Great guy, but not experienced enough. And I was too old for him, for him to coach me. It just didn't work. So I went to them and I said to the Bengals, will you trade me? And I want to go to one of two places. I want to go to the LA Raiders or the New York Jets. They both needed quarterbacks. That's where I want to go. The New York Jets being my hometown team. They were based on Long Island. So I got traded to the Jets in April of 93, and we're getting ready to go out for spring practice, the mini camps. I go out there, I got my helmet on, I'm about ready to take a snap, and the head coach's assistant comes running out and says, Boomer, your wife is on the phone, you need to take it, it's an emergency. And I'm thinking, oh my God, what's happening? I get to that phone call. She says, Boomer, you got to come home. Gunnar is now in the hospital. They got him loaded up with all sorts of drugs. They got him in a crib. They got him they're piping in blood, everything. And I'm like, I have to go tell the coach. Coach, I got to go. So I go back to Cincinnati, and sure enough, the first person I see is a CF nurse, a cystic fibrosis nurse, and then in comes the pulmonologist. And the pulmonologist and the CF nurse say, we want you to sit down. Your son has been diagnosed with cystic fibrosis. And all I could think back to was that '89 meeting that I had with Frank DeFord, and that this has got to be some sort of divine intervention. This is karma. There's something here that Gunnar has been chosen for this fight. I don't know what it is. I don't know where it's going to take us, but what are we going to do? So the first person I call, of course, is my dad, who was a World War II veteran. He spent 16 months in Europe, saw the worst of humanity, and never really ever spoke about it. When he came back, he bought a house in Long Island for $17,000, and his wife, his queen, died when I was 7 years old to ovarian cancer. I never saw him break. I always saw him, benefiting his children and taking care of me and my 2 older sisters. And he was my mentor, somebody in my life that I wish I could have been half the man that he was, given all that he had already been through. And I called him up and he said, Boomer, we're all confronted with things in life. I was confronted with things in life. And the one thing I can tell you is that if you keep your mind focused on what you're trying to get done and not be distracted by outside noises, you will be able to accomplish the amazing if you really want to do that. And I said, of course, I'll do whatever I can. My next phone call was to Frank DeFord. And I said, Frank, I just have to tell you that my son Gunnar was just diagnosed with cystic fibrosis. there was a 30-second pause on the other end of the phone, and I could hear him crying. And he said to me, he goes, Boomer, you are the quarterback of the New York Jets. You are going to the media capital of the world. We have never had anybody that has had the platform that you are about to have. You have to use it. We need to use it because we're close. We are going to make a difference. And I bought into that. So that 93 season, Gunnar and I graced the cover of Sports Illustrated. He was on my shoulders. The headline was A Quarterback's Crusade. Now, I felt bad for the Jets because I wanted to be the quarterback crusade, getting them back to the Super Bowl like Joe Namath did. But I had this also in my life. And the Jets and the NFL supported my efforts. In 1994, they gave me the Man of the Year award. I asked them to put Gunnar's name on it because the only reason that I would get this award is because my son Gunnar was diagnosed with CF. So when he was diagnosed, they told us he was going to make it until he was about 19. That was the median age, that maybe he could go to college. And that is a sobering message to families. And both my wife and I cried for a good 2 hours in that hospital room, and I'll never forget seeing him in that crib, and he was hooked up to all of these different probes and everything else. And once we found out what we were dealing with, at least we knew we could actually have an impact on his life, a positive impact on his life. And she went into CF bear mom mode, and basically I sit here before you today, he wouldn't be alive if it wasn't for her, because everything that she sacrificed to make sure that he had everything that he needed was an amazing and an underappreciated part of the story. So he gets through high school, and he comes to me at 9th grade, and he says, Dad, I want to play football. And I'm like, really? You really want to play football? I mean, you weigh about like 110 pounds, you're 6'2". I don't think football's really the sport for you, Gun. And he's like, no, I really want to play football. I said, well, you better go talk to your mother, because I don't want anything to do with this. So he goes and runs and talks to Mom and says, hey, Mom, Dad said I could play football. I'm like, oh. Dad's in here, you know exactly what I'm talking about, right? I mean, it's unbelievable. So Cheryl comes marching in and said, did you tell him he could play football? I'm like, yeah, he's going to a small school. They need kids. Don't worry, they're not going to be playing like a real football. I mean, it's not that bad. There's only 50 kids in his class. So how bad can it be? So, okay, he plays football. So now he does not play his first 2 years, but he's on the team. He's the backup quarterback, like the third quarterback. He's wearing number 7. It's great. He's a part of something. And he needed to be a part of something, because if he sat home every day, he'd be depressed because of his CF. And then his senior year, he was going to be the backup quarterback, and he developed a really bad infection. And when CF kids get bad infections, they go on these PICC lines with heavy doses of antibiotics, and they don't want to be out in the sun. But you can't play on the football team unless you make every practice. So he decided that he was going to go do his PICC line at practice under a tree with shade in his football uniform, and that would count as a practice so he could be on the team. And to me, that's the ultimate perseverance. That's the ultimate dedication. And all of his teammates loved him for it. So the season starts. And about week 3 into the season, we're going to be playing this Roosevelt High School. Roosevelt High School is normally the number 1 team in New York State. They have ginormous athletes that can run over everybody. We got a bunch of short guys with bad haircuts that are all going to get academic scholarships going into Harvard and Yale. And in comes all this team that's going to have 9 Division I Ohio State football players. And you know damn well that Gunnar's going to get into this game, because this quarterback is not going to make it through the game. So the whole night before, she's killing me. My wife's killing me. She's like, he's not playing. I'm not letting him show. I'm not letting him go. I'm like, he's got to go. He's got to go. He's a part of the team. You're not letting him play. And I'm saying, he's playing. If he's got to play, he's got to play. What she didn't know is that, well, she knew that I did this, but I ran a all-star football game in New York for 25 years. And it would benefit the underprivileged schools in our area. And this school happened to be one of those underprivileged schools. So they had brand new uniforms, brand new helmets, all because of me. And I knew the coach really well. So I know he's got the kids on the bus. This private school where Gunnar goes is in Locust Valley, New York. And Locust Valley looks exactly like it sounds. It's Locust Valley. It's beautiful, big homes, $1 million homes. The school looks like it could be an extension of Harvard, right? And they got a football field for some reason. I have no idea why, but they're going to ask these poor kids to go out on this field and go play this Roosevelt High School. I see the coach. He gets off the bus. I say, hey, coach, come here, man. I got to talk to you. What's up? I said, look, this is going to be so one-sided. You know that. He goes, yeah, I know. And I know that you got these guys all tuned up to kick the crap out of our team. I understand that. And I said, just do me one favor. If number 7 gets in the game, Gunnar, please, whatever you do, no pass rush. No pass rush. Lo and behold, we're down 50-0 at halftime. The quarterback that started the game broke his leg. And Gunnar's going to start the second half. And my wife is up there in that stands, and she is red and she is angry. And I will not sit with her during the game. There's no way. I'm sitting down on the sideline because I'm just looking at the other coach. I'm like, you know what I'm saying? Like, because I don't need this in my life right now. And sure enough, Gunnar goes in there. They put him in shotgun first game, snap the ball, first play. They snap the ball to him, completes a pass, completes another pass. The parents for the other team have no idea what's going on. They're screaming, kill the Esiason kid, kill the Esiason kid. And I'm like, oh my God. We ended up losing the game 70-7. Not one tackle for Gunnar. Gunnar ran out of bounds, nobody ran after him. Gunnar was running down the middle of the field, nobody ran after him. And I'm like, thank God. So we get home that night, and Gunnar goes, man, Dad, that was wild, man. I love playing football. And I'm like, yeah. Okay. Yeah, too bad Bruce Smith would stop rushing every now and again, or Reggie White would have stopped rushing. That would have been great, too. So he ends up going to college, goes to Boston College, and he gets really sick at Boston College, and he's about 19 now. And he comes home. He misses his first semester. We got to take him into the hospital. He's got to go through all these different PICC lines and everything. It's really bad. It's really sad. And the depression is starting to lock in. We put him with 4 boys. My wife would go up there every weekend and wipe down the entire dorm room with, bleach because, of all the different bacteria that, 4 boys have in a college dorm room, you can imagine. It's like an incubator. And so he makes it through college, he graduates, and then he goes into deep depression because he feels like he's at end-stage illness where he's going to need a double lung transplant. And a double lung transplant is not a panacea. As a matter of fact, they're not very successful. And if they are successful, maybe 5 years. That's what you get out of it. A little bit more now, things have passed, but this was back, when he was just getting out of college in mid-2013. And he was really in a bad way. And then all of a sudden, one of his friends said, hey man, you gotta get yourself a girlfriend. You gotta go on one of these apps. So he decides to go on an app to get a girlfriend. Now, the good news about this app was the only way that he could meet the girl is if the girl and he had a common friend. And the common friend said, okay, you guys can date. And it turned out that the girl that he was asking to date, they did have a common friend who was Gunnar's girlfriend in high school. Yeah, right? So, and I don't know if she wanted to torture her friend or what, but she said it's okay. So they go to a Ranger hockey game as their first date. They both love the New York Ranger hockey team. They go, they meet. Now all of a sudden, Gunnar's life starts to change. He's starting being a little bit more positive. Life is good. He's got this beautiful girlfriend. Her name is Darcy. And Darcy's like, Gunnar, you can't be sitting on your ass. You can't be feeling sorry for yourself. Life is short. We got to do things. And she's got him going all over the place. And now meantime, he and I also play adult hockey together. Yes, I have a hockey team. It's called the Long Island Wasps. It's kind of a double entendre. So it's all the guys that I belong to a private hockey club with. And most of them are my age, some are younger. And Gunnar's on the team. And normally when we play games, Gunnar's out there on the ice for 30 seconds, because he can't breathe that well. And he's spitting up all this sputum on the ice, all these green blobs. And the other teams are like, what is that, Ebola? What is that? Nobody really knows. So 2017 comes rolling around. He gets put into a drug trial. So when you're put into a drug trial, you either get the placebo or you get the real drug. We don't know. So he's on this drug trial. We have a hockey game. He's out on the ice for a 1 and 30-second shift. And the guys are getting mad on the team because he's eating up too much of their ice time. They want ice time. I'm like, guys, he never eats up your ice time. If he's eating up your ice time, stuff it. I don't care. Let him play. So after the game's over, we end up going to get a pizza. He eats half the pizza. Cystic fibrosis not only affects the lungs, it's the pancreas, it's a multi-organ disease. They don't eat correctly, they don't want to eat, they don't want to feel full, they don't go to the bathroom right. There's all these kind of side things that you have to deal with that nobody sees. He downs half the pizza. Not only does he down half the pizza, he drinks a pitcher of beer. And I'm like, what has gotten into him? And then we both realized at that moment that he was on this test drug, that he was on the drug, not the placebo. And we had a moment together where we were both crying. And I'm like, Gunnar, your life is about to change. Your life is about to change. And I think that if this drug is what they say it's going to be, it should really give you a second opportunity. And lo and behold, that drug was FDA approved. It changed his life. His girlfriend, Darcy, convinced him to go to Dartmouth Tuck School of Business. He went up and got his public policy degree, got his business degree, and he got a marketing degree. I don't know how he did it all in 3 years, but he did it in 3 years. And he did it from 2019, 2020, 21, and 22. So 2020 comes, it's the pandemic. We all know how we all reacted to that. And he obviously has cystic fibrosis, so that's one of these mitigating circumstance situations where you gotta really worry about it. Never got it, never worried about it. This drug completely changed everything. His metabolism changed his genetic makeup. And during 2020, without anybody knowing, he and his girlfriend at the time, Darcy, were going through IVF. Nobody knew it. And men who are born with CF are born without their vas deferens, so it's a natural vasectomy. And the only way that it could be the biological father is if they go in and get the sperm, and then they fertilize the egg. And they also have to make sure that the egg does not have the CF gene. So there's a lot of things that you have to go through to make this happen. Now, nobody in the family knows this is going to happen. So in 2021, they are going to get married up in the Berkshires, and it's going to be on Father's Day weekend. It's a Thursday night before the wedding, and I'm sitting at Darcy's parents' house, and they hand me my Father's Day gift. And I open the gift, and it's a sonogram of my grandson, which is the most amazing thing that I have ever felt in my life. And I realized, as I've been praying for years for Gunnar, that this divine intervention happened. And my Jewish friends know this as kaveling, meaning that you're having an out-of-body experience. And I was sitting there, I was crying, I couldn't talk. I felt like I had just won 10 Super Bowls in a row. I actually even liked Joe Montana at the time, because I thought of him. Now, I actually thought of Joe Montana. Said, you could throw that touchdown pass. This is the touchdown of a life here, boy. And certainly, you know, I didn't know how to do it. My daughter, Sydney, who's a year younger than Gunnar, was crying there, and Sydney had her baby, Winnie, there. My wife, Cheryl, was crying. I don't know why she was crying, because they actually I found out later that they told her that they were doing this. So they did this, and they get married in June of 2021. And then, lo and behold, little Casper is born on Christmas Eve of 2021. And you talk about a Christmas present that I will never, ever forget that day. And Gunnar took a picture of himself walking out of the hospital with a bassinet, and he said, this is the greatest walk out of a hospital I've ever had. And he's had about 1,000 of them. And it really, that picture, you know, has impacted all of us. And it impacted ESPN so much that they did an E60 on Gunnar called Second Wind. And that E60 is an hour-long documentary on his life story and what he has accomplished to this point. He is now working for a hedge fund investment firm in Boston. He has a daughter now, Mika, and he is living life like I could have only prayed for and hoped for back when he was first diagnosed. And the point that I say is that, you know, even when life has its worst turns, there are so many other turns in life that straighten all those turns out. And over the 32 years that I've been doing this fundraising and the $250 million that we've raised, I've seen so much giving, so much sacrifice, so many families go before us that have left an everlasting mark on this disease of cystic fibrosis, whose kids have passed away at very, very young ages. And I always make it a habit that when I see a CF parent who lost a child, to write them a note, to say thank you for everything that they did to make sure that my son had an opportunity to live a full life. And if that isn't divine intervention, I don't know what is. And given what's going on in this world today, I stand before you telling you there are a lot of great people out there, a lot of unselfish people, and a lot of people that can make a difference. And by you being here today, you're making a difference. It may be for a different cause, but you saw Santiago up on that video board. How great does that kid look? And you know, that kid's gonna grow up and he's gonna help somebody else because he got help from an event like this. And that's why I wanna say, I am so proud to be here, so proud to be a part of this luncheon today, and hopefully this story gives you a little insight as to just how many great people are out there. And you go home and you watch Second Wind, and it re-energizes whatever happens in your life, you could get through it, because I am proof positive that I made it through the Jets, the Bengals, the Cardinals, and cystic fibrosis. So thank you very much.
Let's hear it for Gunnar again. That's awesome. And well, look, don't take off yet. We're gonna do a couple trivia questions, and Boom's gonna show us that he's still that left hand is still a boomer.
These balls are hard to.
All right, so look, we're gonna start easy. So the first question is gonna be something really simple. What college was he an All-American at, obviously? What college did Boomer Esiason attend? Wait, no, don't. Raise your hand, raise your hand.
I like this guy right here.
All right.
Maryland, okay, go over here, come on.
He ran a route. All right.
See where that ball was put, right?
That was good, that was good. All right, second question, and actually the answer was on the screen earlier. This guy was the MVP of the NFL, MVP, but what year was the MVP? Oh man, that went up fast. Let's go with this guy right here. All right. Yep, Stan. What you got? Yep, that's correct. 1988. Boomer was the MVP in the NFL. 1988. He also led the league in passer rating. He was the top passer, obviously. That's probably why you won it, right?
Yeah, I think so.
All right, last question. Because we're in Charlotte, former Charlotte coach, which former Charlotte coach was his roommate in college and also his backup? All right, let's go with this guy in the middle right here. What you got? Frank Reich? All right. Whoa, yeah.
That's how you throw it away from the defensive back so only your guy can catch it.
That was good.
All right, one other story I got to tell you about Frank Reich. Everybody knows who Frank is, right? So Frank comes to Maryland as like the hotshot quarterback out of Pennsylvania. I'm already there. He's the high school superstar coming down. You know, it's Joe Namath, it's Dan Marino, it's Jim Kelly, it's Joe Montana, and it's Frank Reich. So he comes to visit Maryland. I take him around Friday night, Saturday night. We have a great time because he's really good looking. So we have a great time. So Sunday morning before he leaves, the coach says, we want to give you a scholarship to come to the University of Maryland and play quarterback. And Frank says, well, what about Boomer? Isn't he going to be here? And the coach says, nah, he's going to get married and fail out of school, so don't worry about us. so he bought that hook, line, and sinker. Here's the funny thing about Frank Reich. Frank Reich was born in Long Island, okay? His father was a football player at Penn State. As a matter of fact, the last 60-minute man who played every minute of every game at Penn State. That was Frank Reich Sr. Offensive lineman, defensive lineman, all special teams, everything. Great guy. And he was coaching at Lawrence High School on Long Island, where I grew up. I grew up in Long Island, but probably about 50 miles east of that. So his high school coach, when he was a high school coach, he coached a guy by the name of Sal Ciampi. And he got Sal Ciampi a scholarship to Purdue. And Sal Ciampi was the captain of the Purdue Boilermakers when Bob Greasy was their quarterback. When Sal wasn't big enough to make it in the pros, he came back to Long Island. Sal moved out to East Islip, where I grew up, and took over the East Islip football program probably when I was in 7th grade. And he was my high school football coach, and he was the guy that ultimately got me into Maryland because I did not have a football scholarship offer from anybody. And I was actually, when I got to Maryland in 1979, I was the 11th guy on the depth chart. So, and we didn't transfer back then because we lost the year. You had to stick it out. So the interesting thing is like Frank decides to come to Maryland. I have a spring game. I come out of that spring game. There's my high school coach. There's my dad. There's Frank. And there's Frank Reich Sr. And Frank Reich Sr. is hugging my high school coach like they haven't seen each other in 25 years. It turned out that Frank Reich Sr., as I said, was Sal Ciampi's high school coach at Lawrence. Sal Ciampi was my high school coach in East Islip, and they hadn't seen each other since Frank Reich Sr. left Long Island to go to Pennsylvania. And Frank Reich and I ended up together, which is the craziest thing. And we were best men in each other's wedding. He got a little sauced at my wedding. He's a little out of control, I'll tell you that. I was not allowed to be out of control at his wedding because his wife wouldn't let me. So, but anyway, that's a little quick Frank Reich story.
Hey, we got time for one question. We got any Boomer questions? I can't see. All right, good, you guys. Oh yeah, we do. Go ahead, sir. What you got?
Sorry about that. The lowest temperature I played in Cincinnati was, I think we had a 10-degree game. Up in Cleveland, we had a minus 20-degree game. And up in Buffalo, when I was with the Jets, we had a minus 35-degree game. And our kicker missed 3 field goals and kicked us right out of the playoffs. Kickers.
Oh, that's good. All right. Hey, well, look, guys, let's hear it for Boomer. Thanks. Yeah, look, thanks for coming out. We got a huge thanks for all of our Touchdown Club's media partner, Radio 1 Charlotte, and also for the supporting today's event, our Touchdown Club's mission of citizenship, scholarship, sportsmanship, and leadership. A reminder for the speaker series luncheon next month, October 7th, featuring Denver Broncos, 2-time Super Bowl champion and NFL Hall of Famer, Terrell Davis. Just want to thank Martin Marietta for sponsoring today's luncheon, and just want to thank all our sponsors, and you guys go out and have a great rest of the day, and make sure you finish the week strong. Thanks for coming out.